there was a hotel around us, and they help us to give us their swimming pool. So we start fetching water from there to off the fire. Yes, and then there was another apartment, that is K4 apartment. The fire gets into the apartment, so we try to off that one too. And then another car has got burned.
You told one car got burnt. How did that happen?
Immediately it started from the apartment, and then it gets to the car. So there was 2 cars there, and then we rushed to push another car, and then we saved one car, and it got burned on the other car.
You said you called in the firemen to come in, bring down the... How long did it take you to get through to the fire officers?
Oh, around, let's say, like 20 minutes time, 30-20 minutes time, and then they were around.
Were there any individuals in the warehouse when the fire started, as far as you can recall?
Yes, there were some people around. There were some workers around. And then they started. So they were shouting for people to come and help them. Yes, so I was at the other place, and then we all rushed to help them. And there's some stores around the warehouse. So they all start removing their things from there. Yes.
This place was also touched when the explosion started. Apparently, the explosion, when it started, hit the ceiling of a section of K4 residents, and also some of the air conditions were burnt. 2 cars were at the residence. One of the cars was also touched. It's completely burnt. The residents who were available managed to salvage one of the cars. That is, as we speak, is now parked outside the K4 residence. One more fire tender has just entered the residence. Now, what the strategy the fire officers have adopted is that they are trying to climb up the residence to start pumping the water from the top of the building in an attempt to bring down the fire, which, as we speak, is now raging on even more. Because when we reported earlier, we told you that the fire officers have run out of water. So as we speak now, they've brought in 2 more fire tenders in a way to, as it were, bring down the fire under control. We have lots of them here. 6 fire tenders since the fire started had been at post in a bit to to try to bring down the fire here. But as you can see in the background, the fire is still raging on. The district regional commander of the Ghana Police Service, Dampari, is also here on the ground with his men trying to salvage the situation, because we've had lots of individuals around. You wouldn't know some unscrupulous persons who would try to get in here to, as it were, steal some of the items that have been left. So the fire officers, the police officers are all on the ground in their own way trying to, salvage the situation. Eyewitnesses earlier on told us about how the fire started, and in their own small way how they tried to, as it were, douse the fire, but that didn't work. So they followed it up with a call to the fire officers, who got here in about 50 minutes, as the public relations officer of the Ghana National Fire Service told us earlier. They got here at around 5:21. According to him, it was 11 minutes after the eyewitness placed the call to the fire office, and the closest office responded first, and now they are getting support from other quarters to help them bring down the fire situation here. So that's the situation here. We've had one of the cars burnt down. Now we'll move close to that very car which was burnt to see for ourselves how damaging the situation was even before we got here. Yes, so the fire officers, as you can see, are very close to the car that got burnt earlier. We do not know exactly what they are doing, because the car, as you can see, is completely burnt. Yes, so let's look at what the fire officers are doing right now. So as you can see, the fire officers are mounting their ladders. like I said earlier, the fire, if you can see in the background, is now raging on because they ran out of water. They've now brought in new 2 more fire tenders to try to put out the fire. So they are now trying to get on a higher level so they can tackle the fire from the rooftop. We have the PRO of the Ghana Fire Service here with us. He's going to tell us exactly what they've identified on the ground. You're welcome to join you, sir.
Thank you very much.
So what have you, picked up so far?
I think we are still investigating. It's too early to say it's A or B. Normally what happens is in the course of the fire, you may identify something as the cause. But at the end of it, investigation will point to another thing else. So normally we don't want to be specific that it is A or B until we finish with our investigations. How
swift were your men able to, go through the traffic in town to get to this, scene in an attempt to bring it down?
Well, our nearest station is at Nungwa Grida Estates. And so when we received the call at 11 past 6 p.m., we got here 6:21, which means 10 minutes. However, the other supporting appliances were the ones that found it difficult to get here because of the traffic. And with the first appliance that got here, it took us 10 minutes.
We also gathered that the residents around tried to douse the fire with swimming water from the swimming pool and other sources they could get in an attempt to salvage the situation. One of the tenants who got injured in an attempt to escape from the fire was rushed to Dampon Clinic, where he was treated and discharged. As at 9:34, when the news team was leaving the scene, a lot more fire tenders were being ushered to the scene to help quench the fire.
So that was the situation at Spintex last night, from where Latif Idris brought us that particular report. We are trying to get an update on the situation from the Deputy Public Relations Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service. I'm speaking of Prince Billy Anaglate. And we have established contact with him, but for some reason he's unable to give us a lot more information. And because of our telephone lines, we are trying very well to work on the lines and get him back on the line so we can get a lot more updates on that. But let me now tell you about the other incident in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. Now, traders and shop owners in the Kumasi Central Market woke up to yet another fire, which had razed down several shops in the market. Now, the fire reportedly started at dawn and is said to have destroyed as many as 70 shops at the 31st December section of the market. So that's the situation in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. I'm speaking of the Kumasi Central Market there, and it's at the 31st December section of that market. Let's go live to the region and speak to correspondent Erastus Asaridonko, who has a lot more on this fire incident there as well. So, Erastus, tell us what you've gathered so far on this fire. I'm sure you've been following it for some time now.
Well, the fire service personnel, the Mensia division, have been able to bring the fire under control now. It took them about 2 hours to be able to quench the fire completely. It started around 3 a.m. Today, when many of the market women had gone home. And the cause of fire is not yet known, but there are people who are also developing working theories to the fact that the haphazard electrical wiring within that section of the market has contributed to this. But people who saw the fire start indicated that they started in a small container over there, and due to the combustible materials that they sell there, plastic bottles, plastic things, they have liquid soap in there. They also have other chemicals, cosmetics, and so it spread quickly. And there were live wires at that particular time. It took the EPG some time to be able to disconnect power to the market. So it spread quickly to other sectors of the market, destroying 70 shops so far. Now, many of the market women are the ones who are in tears right now, begging for government intervention because they claim at this economic juncture of the country, it will be difficult to set up again. If you recall, we are just coming out of another fire at the Spear Butter section, the Yam section, the Smoke Stick section, which destroyed over 200 shops. They are now even rebuilding, and this one has come in addition to that. So it's raising questions about whether the fire service have been able to live up to their mandate of setting up a permanent fire post within the market to control and prevent some of these fires.
It's good you mentioned that, because I know particularly for the Kumasi Central Market, I mean, this is not the first time. Even this year alone, we've seen a couple of incidents there. And late last year as well, there were a number of incidents in that market as regards fire outbreaks there. We were told that the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly was putting in some measures or so to ensure that this situation does not recur. But seeing that has come up, is reared its head once more, does that in any way suggest that this intervention that was put in place by the KMA did not see the light of day?
Well, there are many who believe that the various interventions have failed. And indeed, if you ask, the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly is rather looking at the redevelopment, the central market, which is currently going on. The first stage is around 60% complete. And they believe that attention should be focused more on that structure than trying to institute measures to contain the situation at the old central market. And if you look at the situation at the market, it will be difficult to control fire because the extensions that have been made, the structures that have been put up, they are so haphazardly done. Electric wires are drawn in haphazardly all over the place. And you cannot control what happens within one particular store and another, who needs what, in what shop. The fire service said they were setting up a permanent post within the market to ensure that best practices are maintained to prevent these fires. But even after a month where they set up this fire post, I understand that they do not have a permanent stay. The team comes in during the day, do their checks, and then they go. And after they left, that is where we have this fire coming up. So it questions the interventions that are being put in place by city authorities to prevent a fire at the old section now.
Erastus, many thanks for that update. We'll be coming back to you shortly for a lot more, but we really appreciate your time this morning on News Desk. And that was Ashanti Regional Correspondent Erastus Asaridonko joining us on phone with details of that fire at the 31st December section of the Kumasi Central Market. We are told that more than 70 shops have been razed to the ground following that particular fire there. But the good news, however, is that the fire has been put out. The flames have been doused in the Ashanti region. You're watching News Desk here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. We are taking a break. We'll return shortly with some more. Don't go away.